Okay, so here we go with the reflective water painting. This is part two. So in part two, I'm going to work on the grass, the green grass along the shore, um, and just going to use oil this time, no water, because I want the paint to stay a little wetter, a little bit longer. So I've got just oil on one side of my cup here. The background was done using only water so that it dried quickly, and this is the next day, and now this is dry enough where it doesn't smudge. So now on my palette, the paint I had yesterday is still wet. This is the French ultramarine, this is the white, and this is the cerulean, and I've added medium yellow, some sap green, and some alizarin crimson. And I'm also going to add in a little bit of the lemon yellow. And here's one quick thing about squeezing the paint from the tube is you always want to squeeze it from the bottom instead of from the middle, because it just like toothpaste tube, you don't want to damage the tube, and you want the paint to always kind of be at the front of the tube. The more people squeeze from the middle, the more the tubes get twisted, and then the tubes get damaged, and sometimes they can break. So squeeze from the bottom like this so that all the paint stays towards the top. So there's some lemon yellow. And so I'm going to mix up some pretty kind of vibrant green first. So I'm going to use the lemon yellow and a little bit of the cerulean blue and mix that together. And because these are the on-bias greens, that's going to give me like a real vibrant green. Add a little more yellow. Maybe a touch of white. All right, so that's my on-bias green. I'll start with that. So a little bit of oil in the paint to get it to flow. And then with the grass, with any kind of grassy texture, you can kind of stipple with the brush, so it's a tapping motion. So this is the light green, and I'm using the light color first because I feel like the darker colors are always going to be stronger when you put them down. They're going to be more dominant in the mixture. So I usually like to do the darker colors afterwards because that way they don't really, they smudge the colors less because they dominate the mixtures. They smudge your colors less. It's a lot easier to put dark over light than it is to do light over dark. So oftentimes I'll do the light sections first. So there's the start to that. And then just using the brush, I'm going to take this same mixture, I'm going to change it and add some of the sap green. And now that color is going to get a lot more darker, and then also it's going to get kind of more sap greens, like a real organic color. You know, think like pine trees. So mix it in thoroughly, and then start to add that into the bottom. Like that. So now it's starting to give the grass a little bit of depth there. Okay, let's play around with another green, a different green. And for this green, I want this green to be a little bit different look, because I don't know if you can see on this photo, but in the back, along the sort of far horizon line, there's like a darker but brighter green as opposed to the lighter, brighter green that's on the top here. And then this green that's in the front by the water's edge is a darker, like more earthy green. So I want like a brighter, darker green. So this time I'm going to go on bias with the yellow, but I'm going to go off bias with the blue. Maybe I'll add in a little bit of the on-bias blue to brighten it up a bit. Yeah, there we go. So I combine the two. So you just experiment with the on and off biases until you find what you want. And I could always add in some sap too if I think I need it. But I don't think I don't want sap for this because it's going to be, the sap has its own kind of character. I think this is good. All right, and I can obviously keep working this series of 3 greens that I've created until I'm happy with, with what I've got. So I've put in all the green tones that I wanted to, and I was just using the oil to do that with, because now I want the paint to be more vibrant, and I want to be able to blend it over the next couple of paint sessions. And but one thing I forgot to do is I forgot to make room for the base of the house, where it looks like there's kind of some brown dirt around the edge of the house. It's kind of like raised up on a little bit of a mound. And I forgot to do that, and also I want to add in those browns on that base, and I want to add some browns in on the edge of the water too. So I'm going to show you guys a trick. So I just got a paper towel here, and I've put some water in my cup now on the other side, and so I'm going to dip the end of the paper towel in some of the water, and now I'm going to wipe out part of the section where that mound is supposed to go. So I'm just going to take the paper towel, I'm just going to wipe, and you can see that it actually picks up some of the blue as well, and that's okay because there's going to be house there. So so this is a technique that oil painters will use all the time, where either they made a mistake or they want to add something in and they don't want to paint over something that's wet. Okay, so now I'm going to make that brown for the kind of the mound area around the base of the house. And so the easiest way to make brown is just to combine 2 complementary colors. So I've already got my green, and then this crimson that I had before. If I add the crimson to the green, I'm going to get a brown instantly. And it's the brown I want. It's like a dark brown. If I want it to be lighter, I could always add some white or some yellow. But that dark brown is going to work pretty well, I think, for this area here. And because I wiped away that section where the paint was, I should be able to lay this paint on without fear of it mixing in with the green that I had there before, right? Okay, like that. All right, and then I also mentioned that there's some brown on the edge of the water, so that kind of indicates like the shoreline and somewhere where these like grasses are like on the edge of the water. Let's drop in these. And I'm just using like a small brush and just like a light touch just with the tip of the brush. And I'm using a fair amount of oil to get the paint to spread where I want it to. Like that. Alright, if I want that brown to be darker, I could always add in some ultramarine blue. And now it's going to get really dark. Some of these areas at the base of the house. A lot of times with landscape painting with oil, you're not trying to do like super fine details. You're just trying to like mimic the feeling of what's there through the colors. and through the textures, and your eye will put it together. The viewer's eye will put it together. All right, so that's a pretty solid. It's a pretty solid part two for this piece. Part three, we're gonna work on the house and the reflections in the water.